If you like this channel and what I do here, please help to support my work by checking out one of my books, available from Lulu Publishing and Amazon.com. Thank you.
Kapla! Hi folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, and you join myself and Dan Ryan. How you doing?
Hello.
Good. For Rewatchable, DS9.
Yeah.
The Klingons are coming. That's why I have my Klingon disruptor with me. It doesn't work anymore, but we've selected 6 episodes from season 4 of Deep Space Nine, which are 2 two-parters. The other 2 episodes are effectively a two-parter.
Sort of, yeah.
They follow the story. They're separated by a few episodes, but they continue a story. But so the 6 episodes we're going to be looking at is Worf's arrival at Deep Space Nine, Way of the Warrior. The two-parter set on Earth, Homefront, Paradise Lost, and 2 Gul Dukat, Major Kira episodes, Indiscretion and Return to Grace. Specifically because we'd be here forevermore if we was reviewing every episode of Deep Space Nine. You're currently working your way through watching them as well, which adds to...
Yeah, I'm watching most... Well, I'm watching about half of them. Like, you've given me a list of ones to watch, so I'm not watching the standalone weekly ones.
No. I mean, we've chosen all the story arcs, all the connected ones, and some real sort of memorable ones as well that go into it. And as Deep Space Nine goes on, it becomes far more serialised. And I've said this before, I'll say it again, you really have got some treats to come in terms of where we are at this point. It can be a bit disillusioning watching season 4 of Deep Space Nine because there are things that we'll talk about. One principal example is Major Kira. We'll come to that. But Deep Space Nine became a very different beast in season 4. Largely because of the studio mandate of bringing Worf in, because they wanted to draw the next, they wanted some of the next generation's audience watching Deep Space Nine. So they also felt the Klingons were very popular in Deep Space on Next Generation, so the Klingon story did well. We can bring those people onto watching it as well. So, but what became very apparent very quickly was that they didn't, although they initiated a war between the Federation and the Klingons, and by extension the Klingons and the Cardassia as well. Yeah. It didn't actually become the full-on Klingon type thing that people really thought it was going to be. There was what's interesting as well is that Homefront Paradise Lost was the original season opener. That 2-part story was the original season opener. Yeah. The changelings are everywhere. And then they were going to go to Earth and find out that the changelings were... But it turned out that it was a coup by Starfleet to basically take over control of the Federation's control of Earth and have Starfleet running Earth. There were some differences in that story, but at that point they didn't know Worf was going to come along. So they moved that story back. But because they used a lot of their money on Way of the Warrior... that some of the big space battle from the end of the 2-parter on Earth got the budget crunch and it affected it. So we'll talk initially anything you wanted to say about Way of the Warrior. So we introduced Worf. What did you think? See, I think he's a good fit with the Deep Space Nine. I think of all the Next Generation characters, probably the one that worked the best. When
I started watching the episode, the first half of it, I got a little bit bored.
Really?
I got a little bit bored. Like, it just...
Okay.
Like... But a lot was set up before. And then it's like, okay, I'm not getting this yet. Right. And I was just... I don't know if it was necessarily bored, but I was disappointed at the start. Yeah. Because I was expecting more Dominion and Changeling stuff and everything.
Yeah, I think you were really... teased by the Odo's line at the end of The Adversary, where he said, you know, the Changeling said, "You're too late. We're everywhere." Yeah. So that was something that you were really looking forward to seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you don't. I mean, not a huge amount really happens in the first half of Way of the Warrior, really. And I'm just like,
there's a lot of
something
talk.
happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about things.
Yeah.
Like the Changelings may have infiltrated the Cardassian civilian government, who've took over now. the Klingons believe that they do some blood tests. They have to, the blood will tell, Martok says.
Yeah.
They have to slice their hand to see if the blood's, because apparently if blood comes out of a changeling, it returns to a gelatinous snake, which, spoilers, the changelings find a way around that eventually, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you get a lot of that kind of talk, don't you? But not really seeing much of anything, are you?
No. It's only really the last sort of... When they start going off to Cardassia, that's when the episode started for me, really.
Yeah.
Like, it was just sort of nothing the rest of the time. Well, it wasn't nothing, but like...
I know exactly what you're saying. There's some nice stuff with Garak in the early part of the episode. There's some, some nice bits and pieces. You see the first inklings of a relationship between Dax and Worf as well. A bit flirty with each other. Well, more Dax flirty with him than he is with her.
Yeah.
Some nice Cisco stuff as well with Cassidy, and he really is the captain now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's really fitted into that role brilliantly by this point. You get Dukat coming in at that point as well when they rescue him and the civilian government.
Yeah.
And I think at that point that's when it really kicks in.
Yeah.
You see the scope of and coming back to Deep Space Nine and the Klingons arrive there, and you get to see this great battle, hindered a little bit by the budget. Yeah. Because there's some, as you were pointing out...
when they're firing it like focuses on one bit and it just keeps playing that bit like 7 or 8 times or something.
yeah. But still great to see Deep Space Nine as a proper sort of... a fortress, basically, somewhere to defend Bajor, defend the wormhole and all that kind of thing now. Especially with the threat of the Dominion coming. I always thought... they've given them a battleship, the Defiant, but it was an experimental ship that was like flying itself apart. They had to get it working properly, and but that was it. They'd still got this rickety old Cardassian space station that's like 40 years old or something. I don't know. I can't remember how old it is by that point. So yeah. Might even be 20 actually. I can't remember. But they've kitted it out. They've really kitted it out. And then by the end, Worf becomes the strategic operations officer at Deep Space Nine and intelligence gathering as well for the war and all that. Yeah. And they say, the Klingons are here to stay. And Sisko says, yeah, so are we. Digging in. And it's almost like a sort of a mini pilot for the reinvention of the series in a way. I don't know if you thought that at all.
No, I suppose I suppose it could be. Yeah.
I mean, there's some good spectacle. I mean, I love the bits in Cardassia with space, with the Defiant and all that.
Yeah.
The battles there were really, the technology and all that of the Defiant whizzing round and using its tractor beam to deflect the fire of the Klingon disruptor's ship, the fire, that kind of thing. And some engagement with the Klingon bird of prey and all that. And there's some really nice touches there. And the battle against the Klingons on the station as well is there's some good, some great, it certainly puts the fight in The Last Jedi to shame.
I don't think that takes much though, to be honest.
I mean, it's choreographed. You can see it's choreographed in the Way of the Warrior, but it's well done. So we go to Earth now. I always get these episodes the wrong way round. Homefront, Paradise Lost. I think Paradise Lost is the...
that's the second one, I think.
Yeah. It's a really interesting story. Like I say, it was what was originally the setup for the beginning of season 4.
And that was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for something like this, especially the first part. It's got everything really. It's got some good Cisco stuff. You meet his dad. You get a lot of development, Cisco development through his dad.
Yeah.
And you get other stuff. You get a bit of Nog there.
Nog, Starfleet Academy now. Yeah. With Red Squad and all that.
And you get more about like the way it all works on Earth.
Yeah.
And meeting the people in these positions.
Yeah.
And
which for somebody like you who isn't like bathed in the universe of Star Trek like I am, it would have been quite interesting for you actually to see how Earth and the Federation works. That they have an elected president, but Starfleet's the Earth, but the Federation is the conglomerate of like Earth, Vulcan, Andoria, blah blah blah, all the rest of them. but their president is based on Earth, which I always thought was a bit of an odd one. But Joseph Sisko, a great Brock Peters, a fantastic actor, a real veteran of some great films. One that stands out for me is Soylent Green. Lost now, unfortunately, passed away. But really, and that's again is we talk about the relationship between Sisko and Jake, but equally as much the relationship between Benjamin Sisko and his dad. Yeah, they're really close, and we've often said how woefully neglected father-son relationships are in fiction. Yeah. But it's a really good, strong dynamic here. So they assume that the changelings are on Earth and they're trying to do things and all that kind of stuff. So they go back to Earth. They make Sisko acting head of Starfleet security, is it? Yeah. Odo goes with him as well. And we see a few interesting... Odo has a run-in with a disgruntled changeling, which bodes for the future, this whole idea of no changeling has ever harmed another. So they don't like him now because of what he did in The Adversary, killing another of his kind. So that's another interesting little dynamic. It turns out that it's a coup, basically. It's Starfleet trying to take over. The changelings, yes, they are on Earth, because we do see one who impersonates Chief O'Brien, is it? Yeah. So you've watched this very recently. Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched the story, but and he said,
he said there's only 4.
Yeah, he says there's only 4 of us, and he says, but we've barely begun. He says, if I remember the line rightly. So that teases things for the future. But it turns out that the whole thing is Admiral Layton, another great actor as well, Robert Foxworth. And
tad disappointing.
Yeah,
tad disappointing.
I always thought one of the things that really stuck out in my mind is you got this battle going on between the Lakota. Is it that is the name of the starship? God, I'm on a roll today. I remember, even though it's been quite a while since I watched this one, and the Defiant, because they believe that the Defiant's been replaced with changelings. They Layton tells. Captain Benting, is it? Benting, yeah, Captain Erica Benting, Susan Gibney. And so you have this battle going on, and yeah, it's a bit of a weedy battle. It's very CGI-y for the day as well, And you've got all this stuff going on, and then it cuts back to Starfleet headquarters, and there's Admiral Layton, and he goes, "Bowley and tonic water? It helps to calm the nerves," And you're thinking, what? She's got this big battle going on. You want some tension inside the office and all that, and he's just drinking Bowley and tonic water, or whatever it is.
Like what it feels like with Deep Space Nine so far is it's extremely good at setting stuff up, and it makes you think it's delivering until like the last bit, and it's like
it pulls back a bit.
It's like, oh no, not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
And I'm just
yeah. And that unfortunately was at the time it was the studio. The whole idea that Star Trek should not be serialised and story arced in the way, and people like Ira Stephen Burr, and by extension like Robert Hewitt Wolfe and Ron D. Moore, who realised his dream of what you could do with Deep Space Nine when he went off to reimagine Battlestar Galactica, and really he let his hair down with that one. Great writers on Deep Space Nine that were really big proponents of unshackling Star Trek from some of the things. See, we're going to bash on the JJ and Kurtzman era of Trek. That's just unleashing the lunatics in the asylum and just letting them have a free-for-all. But I can see some logic in having a bit more tension, making the universe a little bit grittier, a bit darker, but make the threat be an external one, not something that happens internally between all those people. And ironically, this is a story that does that. Yeah. Gene Roddenberry, I don't think he would have been particularly happy with this idea that elements of... well, certainly he wasn't, because whenever it had come up in the past, in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, you had elements of the Romulans and even people in the Klingon Empire and the Federation were basically going to benefit out of the destruction of the Klingons. Next Generation, the episode Conspiracy in the first season, with the little worm aliens in the back of the neck, the bluegills that take over Starfleet and that. Yes, it was an alien thing that was causing it, but Roddenberry was never like, you know, we're way past this kind of thing. There should not be any. Starfleet and the Federation is rock solid. Any threat of destabilisation or whatever should come from external factors, not from within. Yeah. This story is from within, isn't it? Which is quite dark for Star Trek.
Yeah.
But not pushing it too far, because it's only certain elements within Starfleet. Cisco very much holds his own, doesn't he? And says, you know, you're not doing this. We're not going to let you do this. I love that scene where they fake the the blood thing with Cisco. And that. And she just throws the thing down on the desk as if to say, "What the fuck am I supposed to do then if you're going to keep doing this?" You know, how the hell am I supposed to prove that this is not happening? This is not this is a false flag thing. Yeah. And for me, as an alternative knowledge researcher, I find this story very profound and very prophetic. The mid-90s into late 90s, it foreshadows things that were to come a few years later, which we'll not get into here. But if you check out my research and my books, I've written about this. I've actually written about this two-parter quite a bit in Science Fiction: The Hidden Global Agenda. How it foreshadows, uncannily to some degree, things that were going to happen at the dawn of the 21st century. You know, so it's bizarre, that is. But Star Trek has an uncanny knack of doing that sometimes. It's amazing. Again, check out my research, because Star Trek is not the innocent little thing that you think it is. It's a lot of the people. Star Trek was a vehicle for a lot of agendas, political and militarily. Intelligence agencies and that.
We know it's a political platform after all.
But this is before identity politics. This was the military-industrial complex agenda and other things, which is so ironic that I hold Star Trek in such reverence. As a researcher, I should not really. I should be really dead against everything that, if that was what. But you know, compared to where it's gone today, yeah. But that's the point. But so it's a great story. I really love this two-part story. I you know what? It makes me want to go and watch it again. It's been a couple of months since I've seen it, but I remember. Obviously, it's a story that I've always really liked.
The first episode of it, though, Homefront, I really did enjoy a lot. I was like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Yes.
Yeah. Don't worry, be patient. You are going to go. You've got some great stuff to come. You really have got some great stuff to come with Deep Space Nine. But it's one of those things that you have to be a patient person.
If I was watching every episode, I'd probably have just got sick of it and stopped, just like for waiting. So
I know.
I'd have just been like, nah, fuck this.
That is one of the problems that I've always had with introducing people to Deep Space Nine is I have to put a list together of the classic episodes, things like The Visitor and Trials and Tribulations, Duet, who's another great one from season 1, Rejoined from season 4 is a fantastic episode. There's a lot of them, but they're not story arc episodes really. The Dominion stories, the Marquis stories, the Gul Dukat, the Kai Wynn, the Shakar, the Odo-Kira relationship, all these things, and then the Changelings and stuff to do with Dr. Bashir from season 5, mid-season 5 onwards, and eventually Section 31 and all this kind of thing, and the Dominion War, and it's all done on the fly as well. This is the strange thing people don't realise about Deep Space Nine, is it was not particularly planned. They made it up as they went along.
Oh, okay.
They had a general idea.
Yeah.
They always knew where they wanted all of the characters and the general universe to be at the end. But the journey to it, they moved all over the place.
Yeah.
They moved the goalposts all the time, the writers did, which it's a mark of a good writing team that they pulled it off so well. Some writers don't always do it that well, and again, Ronald D. Moore is a good example of that, because he didn't have a big plan. for, even though it's in the opening credits and they have a plan in Battlestar Galactica. No, they didn't have a plan with that writing at all. They did make it up as they went along. I mean, apparently there was Dirk Benedict, who played Starbuck in the original series, was going to come back and he was going to be like this angel, like the Sixth Angel and the Bolter. He was going to be like, but he didn't want to do it. So if that was, that just shows how they just kept shifting the goalposts. But that holds up well as a complete story arc, pretty much. At the end, Deep Space Nine I think does that as well. So, but there's a lot of filler. That's the problem. There's a lot of filler.
Yeah.
And I can watch the filler episodes. I do like Deep Space Nine, but it's not, if you're trying to get somebody on board.
Yeah, you've already seen it before on that.
Yeah. So we're talking about Indiscretion and Return to Grace. Essentially, this story is about Kira going off to try and find somebody who, whether they've died or not, a Bajoran prisoner during the occupation or something like that of the Cardassians. And the transport that took them also was carrying Gul Dukat's lover and daughter, that he should not have had this daughter, who's like half Bajoran, half Cardassian. And so the first episode, Indiscretion, is them going, and eventually he finds this daughter alive.
Yeah.
But because of his status in Cardassian society and the fact that she's half Bajoran, he's going to kill her. And that Kira talks him into basically letting her live.
Yeah.
And going with him. And that's where that story sort of ends. Return to Grace, it's literally a two-parter, like we say.
Yeah.
He comes to take Kira on a diplomatic mission, and he finds out that he's in command of like a freighter now, and he's got his daughter Zial with him. But the price for that was that he lost his position in Cardassian, the infrastructure. He's now like a lowly freighter captain, basically. He's lost all of his power. He's lost. But he said, "I'd do it again because I love my daughter." The colony that they're going to gets attacked and destroyed by the Klingons, and they decide that they want to take revenge, and they're going to ask. He asks Kira to join him on becoming a terrorist again. A rebel sort of thing. They take one of the planetary disruptors from the colony, put it on board their cargo ship thing, use it to whack a great big hole in the Klingon bird of prey, and then take over the Klingon bird of prey. Kill the Klingons and the switcheroo, and then they head off. And he, like I say, he wants Kira to go with him, but Kira thinks that Zial would be better off away from it all, not living a life of sort of violence and fighting and all guerrilla warfare and all that. So she takes Zial back to Deep Space Nine, and Gul Dukat and his crew, and then we meet Damar as well for the first time. He's subordinate who becomes a very big character in Deep Space Nine as it goes on, and they head off to fight the Klingons. In the captured Klingon ship,
I really enjoyed that a lot. It's like it's a nice little story thing. It's like it's nice. I like Gul Dukat. Okay. I like him a lot. Because I realised in this episode that I didn't really like Kira that much, and I weren't quite sure why. And I spoke to you, and you pointed out that they'd changed the way that they were writing her to make her
in
like
season 4,
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. She feels like a different character.
Yeah, they defanged the character. She wasn't quite so feisty, and so they made her more friendly, not so hostile. Certainly, her attitude towards Gul Dukat, which I know the actress Nana Visitor wasn't very happy about that. This is the prefect of the Bajoran occupation. Should not be his friend. Yeah. He's a symbol of everything that she fought against. So the fact that she can laugh with him about pine needles stuck in his arse in the whatever it was in Indiscretion, and they can just jolly about as though the occupation of Bajor never happened. I don't think that is ever completely gone from Kira's mind, because certainly in Return to Grace she makes a point of saying, I don't want to like your dad to Zial, because he was the prefect of the occupation of Bajor and all this kind of thing. Kira's relationship with Gul Dukat never, at this point in time, fortunately it doesn't last very much longer, and I think it was more about Zial recognising herself in Zial, taking her and doing her a favour, than it was she was doing a favour for Gul Dukat. I
was just like, just go with him, join him. At least she'll be like more feisty than that again.
Yeah.
She's just like,
Don't worry though, she gets some.
Yes,
We're gonna there's gonna be some delays along the way, an unplanned baby, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, she gets her mojo back. It takes a season, but she gets her mojo back again. Yeah, I still found her watchable. I never found her really annoying.
It's just it's not that I find her annoying. I just find her a bit.
Because Kira is my favourite Deep Space Nine. She's the one of the I think she's probably the strongest female character in all of the Star Trek franchise.
Is it that's what annoyed me though, because she just got like suddenly shit.
I know, that's the annoying thing about it. But don't worry, it doesn't.
That's good.
It isn't a change that's permanent.
That is good.
I don't think she ever really truly gets back to season 2 level of Kira. But there's a good return. I'm sure there's plenty of things we can say. There's loads of in-depth stuff to get into, but
we don't want to keep you here for hours.
Yeah. So let's rate them then. We'll do our out of 10s. I think they're imminently rewatchable for lots of different reasons. But let's start with Way of the Warrior.
Way of the Warrior, I'd probably give it like a 7.
Yeah,
I think
I'm with you. Yeah, we do this a lot.
Yeah.
We say these things, and it's honestly out there in YouTube land. This is not a planned thing.
It'd be lower if it weren't for the last half an hour of it, but like it'd be maybe like a 5 for me.
Yeah. See, I like Worf. He was a good character.
I like him as well.
And so for me, it works well. It's a good, interesting story. But you're right, it doesn't deliver on what it promised at the end of. That was more to do with the studio intervention.
And it didn't feel like a season opener till the last half an hour.
Yeah.
Homefront, probably like a 9. I really enjoyed that a lot. Paradise Lost, like a 7.5 maybe.
I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give Homefront an 8, and I'm going to give Paradise Lost a 7.
Yeah.
Brilliant 2-part story. Really like it. But it's like if I give it a 10 or a 9, then there's loads of other episodes that I think, they're so much better, and they're 10s and 9s. So.
Well, I haven't really got that.
Yeah, I know you haven't, yeah. So, okay, then. What about Indiscretion?
7.5.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, for me it's a 7. It's a good solid 7.
Yeah.
Return to Grace.
I'd give that the same, probably 7.5 as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a 7 again.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll say thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. And Dan and I will see you again in the next video. Take care.
Goodbye.